You're getting ready to sell your house, and you think the plumbing is fine because nothing leaks and everything drains. Then the home inspector walks through, spends 45 minutes in your basement and crawl space, and suddenly there's a list of plumbing deficiencies that makes your buyer nervous, and your deals start to wobble. I've seen it happen more times than I can count over 3 decades in the trade. Today, I'm walking you through 10 DIY plumbing mistakes that will fail a home inspection. And I mean the real ones that actually show up on reports, including one at number 8 that surprises even experienced homeowners. Stick around for the bonus tip at the end, too, because it could save your sale. The first mistake that gets flagged on inspections more than almost anything else is improper drain slope. Now listen, this is one of those things that sounds simple, and it is simple, but only if you actually measure it. Every horizontal drain line in your house needs to slope downward toward the main drain at a rate of 1/4 inch per foot. That is not a suggestion. That is code. And I'll tell you, the number one reason this gets messed up is because somebody eyeballs it instead of using a level. They figure gravity will do the work, and it will, but only if you give it the right angle. Too little slope and water moves slow, solids settle, and you get chronic clogs. Too much slope and the water outruns the waste, which, believe it or not, causes the same problem. Inspectors will check this with a 2-foot level on any exposed drain pipe they can reach, and in a basement or crawl space, that is most of them. If you have done any drain work yourself, go down there with a level before the inspector does, 1/4 inch per foot. Measure it, mark it, get it right. If a section is off, now is the time to rehang it with proper slope before it shows up on that report. The second mistake inspectors catch immediately is missing or incorrect P-traps. Every single fixture drain in your home, every sink, every tub, every shower, every floor drain needs a P-trap. That curved section of pipe holds a small amount of water that creates a seal between your living space and the sewer gas in the drain system. Without it, you get methane and hydrogen sulfide seeping into your home, and that is a health hazard. Now here is where homeowners get into trouble. I have seen people remove traps because they thought the curve was causing a clog. I have seen S-traps still installed under old bathroom sinks, and those have been against code for decades because they siphon themselves dry. And the worst offender is those white, flexible, accordion-style drain tubes you can buy at any hardware store. Inspectors hate them. They collect debris inside those ridges. They sag. They leak at the joints. And in most jurisdictions, they do not meet code for a permanent installation. If you have any of those under your sinks, replace them with proper rigid PVC or ABS P-trap assemblies, 1.5 inch for bathroom sinks, 2 inch for kitchen sinks. Hand tighten the slip nuts, then a 1/4 turn with channel locks. That is all it takes, and it is one of the cheapest fixes on this entire list. The third mistake that shows up on inspection reports is using the wrong pipe transition fittings. This one is sneaky because the connection might not leak for years, but it is still wrong, and an inspector will call it out. The most common version of this I see is galvanized steel pipe connected directly to copper with no dielectric union in between. When two dissimilar metals touch each other with water flowing through them, you get galvanic corrosion. It eats through the joint from the inside. The fix is a dielectric union, which is a special fitting with a plastic sleeve and rubber washer that separates the two metals while still giving you a watertight connection. You will also see problems where somebody has connected PVC to ABS using the wrong cement, or joined PEX to copper without a proper transition fitting rated for that purpose. Inspectors know what proper transition fittings look like, and they know what a hack job looks like. If you have mixed pipe materials anywhere in your system, go check those connections now. The right adapter or union costs a few dollars. The wrong connection can cost you the sale. By the way, if you're finding this advice helpful, Do me a small favor and hit that subscribe button down below. I put out new videos like this one every week, walking you through repairs that'll save you a small fortune in plumber bills. Subscribing is free, and it's the best way to make sure you don't miss the next one. All right, let's continue. The fourth mistake on our list is unsupported or improperly hung pipes. This is another one that inspectors spot the second they walk into an unfinished basement or look up into a crawl space. Every pipe in your home, whether it is copper supply line, PVC drain pipe, PEX tubing, or cast iron, needs to be supported at regular intervals with the correct type of hanger or strap. Copper needs support every 6 feet on horizontal runs and every 10 feet on vertical runs. PVC needs it every 4 feet. PX needs it every 32 inches. And here's the thing. The material of the hanger matters too. You cannot use a bare metal strap on copper without causing corrosion at the contact point. You need plastic-coated or copper-compatible hangers. I have seen homeowners run new PEX lines through a basement and just let them drape across the joists with no support at all. It might work fine for years, but an inspector will flag it every single time. Go down there, count your hangers, check the spacing, and make sure the material is right for the pipe type. A bag of proper pipe hangers costs next to nothing and takes an afternoon to install. The fifth mistake that fails inspections is accessible cleanouts that are missing or buried behind finished walls. A cleanout is a capped fitting installed in your drain system that gives you access to clear blockages. Code requires them at specific locations, usually where the main drain exits the house, at changes of direction, and at the base of every vertical drain stack. The problem comes when a homeowner finishes a basement or remodels a bathroom and covers a cleanout behind drywall or flooring with no access panel. The cleanout is still there, but nobody can get to it, and that is a code violation. Inspectors look for these. If you know you covered one up during a renovation, the fix is straightforward. Cut an access opening in the drywall, install a simple plastic or metal access panel, and you are back in compliance. These panels are inexpensive. They take about 20 minutes to install, and they tell the inspector you know what you are doing. The sixth mistake, and this is a big one, is illegal drain connections and wet venting violations. This usually happens when somebody adds a bathroom in a basement or finishes an extra half bath without pulling a permit or understanding the venting requirements. Every drain fixture needs a vent. That vent allows air into the drain system so water flows smoothly and traps do not get siphoned dry. When there is no vent, you get slow drains, gurgling sounds, and sewer gas coming back through the traps. Now, there is a legitimate method called wet venting, where a single vent pipe serves multiple fixtures, but it has very specific rules about pipe sizing, fixture placement, and distances. I have seen basement bathrooms where somebody tied a toilet and a sink into an existing drain line with no vent at all. And I have seen attempts at wet venting where the pipe sizes were completely wrong. Inspectors are trained to identify these issues, and a venting violation is one of the harder things to fix after the fact, because it usually means opening up walls or ceilings. If you added plumbing anywhere in your house without consulting the code book, have a licensed plumber take a look before the inspector does. The seventh mistake that gets called out on inspection reports is water heater code violations. I'll tell you, the water heater is one of the very first things an inspector walks up to, and there are several specific items they check. First, the temperature and pressure relief valve, which most people call the TPR valve. It must be present, it must not be capped or plugged, and it must have a discharge pipe that runs downward to within 6 inches of the floor or to the exterior. That discharge pipe cannot have a threaded end, cannot be reduced in size, and cannot run uphill at any point. Second, if you have a gas water heater, there needs to be a sediment trap, also called a drip leg, on the gas supply line right before it enters the unit. That is a short vertical section of pipe with a cap on the bottom that catches debris and moisture before it reaches the gas valve. Third, In many jurisdictions now, a thermal expansion tank is required on any closed-loop water system, which is most homes with a backflow preventer or pressure-reducing valve on the main line. If you are missing any of these three items, add them before the inspection. The parts are inexpensive, and the installation is straightforward for a handy homeowner. The eighth mistake on the list, and this is the one that catches people off guard, is concealed shark bite fittings inside walls. Now listen, I know shark bite push-fit fittings are convenient. You push the pipe in, it grabs, and you have a connection with no soldering and no crimping. For a temporary repair or an accessible location where you can see and reach the fitting, I understand the appeal. But when homeowners use them behind drywall with no access panel, that is where the trouble starts. Many inspectors will flag a concealed push-fit connection, especially if there is no access panel to service it. The concern is that these fittings have O-rings that can degrade over time, and if one fails behind a wall, you have a hidden leak that can cause thousands of dollars in water damage before you even know it is there. If you used shark bite fittings during a repair and then closed up the wall, you have two options. Either install an access panel so the fittings can be inspected and serviced, or replace them with permanent connections like soldered copper or crimped PEX and close it up properly. Between you and me, if you are selling a home, the access panel route is faster and still satisfies most inspectors. The ninth mistake inspectors look for is cross connections or missing backflow prevention devices. A cross connection is any point where your potable drinking water could come into contact with a non-potable source. The most common example is a garden hose without a vacuum breaker. Picture this. You leave a hose running in a bucket of fertilizer water, the municipal water pressure drops suddenly, and that contaminated water gets siphoned right back into your home's drinking water supply. That is not theoretical. It happens. Code requires hose bib vacuum breakers on every outdoor faucet, and they cost about $3 to $5 each. They just thread right onto the spigot. Inside the house, you also need air gaps on dishwasher drain connections and proper backflow prevention on any irrigation system tied into the domestic water supply. Inspectors check these items because they are public health requirements, not just plumbing code technicalities. Walk around your house and check every outdoor faucet. If there is no vacuum breaker on the end, go pick up a handful at the hardware store. It is one of the simplest and cheapest fixes on this entire list. The 10th and final mistake, and arguably the one that can cause the most damage to your sale, is visible signs of unpermitted plumbing work. Inspectors are not code enforcement officers, but they are trained to recognize work that does not look professional. Mismatched pipe materials with no proper transitions, drain lines that take unusual routes, supply lines that are undersized, fixtures that seem to have been added as an afterthought. These all tell an inspector that somebody did plumbing work without a permit and probably without knowledge of the code. When that shows up on an inspection report, it raises questions that make buyers and their agents uncomfortable. They start wondering what else was done without permits. They ask for price reductions or demand the work be redone by a licensed plumber. In some cases, the municipality may require you to pull a retroactive permit, which means the work has to be inspected and brought up to current code before the sale can proceed. If you know there is unpermitted plumbing in your house, the smartest thing you can do is address it before you list. Either bring it up to code yourself and document what you did, or hire a licensed plumber to evaluate it and make corrections. A few $100s spent now is a lot better than losing a buyer over something that could have been fixed. All right, now for the bonus tip I have been holding on to, and this one is worth the wait. Before you ever schedule that home inspection, do your own walkthrough with a flashlight and a checklist. Go into the basement. Go into the crawl space. Look at every exposed pipe, every connection, every fitting, every hanger. Check under every sink. Look at the water heater. Turn on every faucet and flush every toilet. Watch the drains. Listen for gurgling. Smell for sewer gas. You would be amazed how many issues you can catch yourself if you just slow down and look. I have seen homeowners fix 5 or 6 inspection items in a single weekend because they took the time to walk through the house the way an inspector would. You do not need fancy tools. You need a flashlight, a 2-foot level, your eyes, and a little patience. My Uncle Ray used to say the best time to find a problem is before somebody else finds it for you. That is how my Uncle Ray taught me, and that is how I'm teaching you. Before you go, if you got something out of this video, do me one last favor and hit that subscribe button. I put out new videos every week covering real-world plumbing repairs, money-saving tips, and the kind of know-how that takes years to pick up on the job. Subscribing costs you nothing, and it makes sure these videos show up in your feed when you need them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.